You are live. All right, I'm live. Give you folks some time to trickle on into the stream. In the meantime, I'll just get a little bit set up here. Hopefully everyone's having a great day. I can speak on the East Coast here that it's a fine, beautiful, sunny day. Great day to be outdoors, right? Enjoying some of that sun, some of that vitamin D. And yeah, actually, I'm probably going to be covering an article there as it pertains to being outdoor during lockdowns or while that scary COVID is out there lurking around every corner. But yeah, I'll get to that here in a bit. Lots of, like I said, lots of information, lots of news to cover, lots of rhetoric to debunk, right? And we're going to get to it. We're going to get to all of it. That's what we do around here, or at least that's what I do. I try to properly educate and inform so that Canadians are so susceptible to the lies and the rhetoric espoused by some of their thought leaders in the established media, because I recognize that in Canada, it's quite profound. A lot of people fall for it, hook, line, and sinker. Give a to join the stream. Oh, I seen I already had a slight little interruption there on the stream. Like I say, hopefully the live stream will hold up today. Yeah, yeah. Wonder if I should cover this first article as it pertains to the housing market. Yeah, the housing market in this country is insane. It is absolutely insane. And it's almost, there's something in the air. There's something in the air. Is that big, ginormous housing bubble in Canada going to burst? Is it about to pop? Is that something that's going to happen anytime soon? I don't know. But if there's any semblance of fairness, right, then it will. Oh, I want actually. This is let me bring this one up because this is probably something that most Canadians are probably not aware of. Actually, I had another article pulled up here from a while ago. Actually, let me just throw this on here while I'm scrolling down. Hey, what's going on, David? Hey now, what's going on? Stuart Passmore, what's going on, my friend? What's up, CL? My news video shows Vincent Gersey's explain how to deal with COVID checkpoints. Nice. I'll have to check that out. I definitely will do that. Actually, that's something that I'll be looking forward to. Stuart, that sounds the same to me being in Texas. David in Texas, nice, big, wide open, not just wide open spaces and big sky, right? Everything's big in Texas. But yeah, they went total, like, just, I love the fact that the governor just, yeah, no more lockdowns, no more restrictions, no more mask mandates. Oh, to be in Texas right now. Oh, if only. Oh, what a great day that must have been for the people of Texas. Rejoice and enjoy your freedoms, folks. And the rest of us will kind of have to sit up here and look on with astonishment, amazement, and admiration, I'll add. The 3 A's, triple A's, right? Canadian conformist. But anyways, yeah, let me get back to, let me throw this up here. Share the screen. What was that window that I was using? I would suggest that's not it. It must be a little further down here. Is it the Bank of Canada one? Yeah, I think it's that one. Okay, so let me click on that one. The Bank of Canada. Yes. As you see, I had that highlighted here. But like I say, this is information that I assure you, I guarantee you that most Canadians have no clue how much of the actual economy, right, is actually propped up and sustained by big government central planning and just by printing money, right? Which is obviously is not truly sustainable, except for the people who are forced to pay into this stuff. If the people ever became fully aware, like I say, and I've heard this expression, I remember hearing about this back in the day, right? But even today, in 2021, if people firmly knew, by these central planners as it pertains and how it affects, their not just their economic prosperity or their monetary compensation for the work society, but just how much of the economy is like built on, right? Not just speculation and a housing bubble. I mean, that's definitely, but how a lot of the underlying aspect of it is it's just big government and central planners, right? Printing money and hoping that that's how you paint over all the bad economic decisions or malfeasance in the past, right? No, it won't work. Well, temporarily it can, but it's actually that temporary injection and false stimulus of the economy and that completely distorts, right, the underlying economy from this unicorn, this fake economy, right? All this intervention is actually going to cause it to be much, much, much worse and the crash to be much more severe than it normally would be. Anyways, so here this was a CBC News article. Like I say, we go back here. This was back in April 22nd. Actually, no, what wasn't that long ago. So just what, 6 days ago or so. Bank of Canada offers fresh hints that interest rates will rise next year as economy surges. Governor Tip Macklem sees an end to rock bottom rates in 2020 as the economy booms. Anyways, so it's all once again, and there's all kinds of admission of the fact that basically central bank and the central planners have been propping up, like I say, not just the housing market, but the economy for quite a while now. And this 2% inflation rate, right? Like as if inflation, like that's one thing I have to agree when I hear Peter Schiff talk or others like him, right? Is what's up with this? Why do you feel you have to have inflation, right? Like artificial. When you're agreeing that central planners are trying to create, whether it's a floor or a ceiling in terms of inflation, that's them literally centrally planning the economy. In a natural market environment, what the inflation rate would be, well, it would be completely subjective and based and determined on a whole multitude of reasons and the participation of millions or ultimately billions of people in the market force or in the marketplace or in the economy. But central planners, they basically take you as the individual out of the equation and they just create their own false stimulating economy. And how big is that? Well, now it has gotten to the point where, and this is they're starting to scale back. Okay, folks, keep this in mind here. Ending low rate commitment, scaling back bond purchases, right? So this is the central bank, right? Buying up government bonds. And what are government bonds, right? Right? But promissory notes. It's basically, I'll tell you what it is. It's your future productivity, your labor and your work that someone else is claiming that they can, like, imagine if you owned a farm, right? And you had farm bonds because of the animals that you had on your farm. And they were worth something because they produced milk, food and things that sustain people. So basically in Canada or any democracy, you're the chattel, you're the cattle, you're the cows, you're the chickens, you're the pigs, right? And the bonds are a reflection of your future productivity. Now, you should be the one to be able to sell the bond of you. You should be the one that if you're going to gain any economic advantage based on whether it's now in the here and now or at some point down in the future, you should be the benefactor of your economic anything that you produced in the economy, right? But no, government, pretends that they own you, and a government bond is to suggest that they're the ones that are investing in you per se, right? They're your owners, and they're going to get the returns because they're your proverbial owners. That's what bonds are basically about, or what they suggest is that the government owns you and has the claim over your productivity and your labor. But think about this. So scaling back bond purchases, this time from $4 billion to $3 billion a week, folks. That's not a month. That's not in a year. A week. This time billion a month. Well, there's 52 weeks in a year, so it'd actually be a little more than that, right? But that's a tremendous amount of money. Tends to affect longer term rates. While a hike in the Bank of Canada's overnight rate affects variable mortgages and things like lines of credit. While the bank did not officially announce an increase in so many words, ending a commitment to hold rates down was seen by economists and financial reporters as exactly that. Can someone please ask Governor Macklem if he means to expressly state they expect a 2022 rate hike with a statement, tweeted Francis Donald, global chief economist at Manulife Investment Management. Because that's a reasonable interpretation, but I can't believe it's the intention. Right? Everyone's so scared to death of raising rates because, once again, this Ponzi scheme, this current economic system, it has to be so micromanaged that even the slightest divergence, right, the whole house of cards comes tumbling down, right? So that's why they're so tightly managing and controlling things, right? But I mean, the fact that you have to stimulate the economy to the tune of, even at $3 billion a week. I mean, come on, that should tell you, really, even if you're not an economist, don't understand macroeconomics or the markets at all, or government or anything, or any economic policy. I mean, come on, at the very least, like, oh, you mean central banks just printing up numbers on a screen, right? And buying government issuances of debt, right? Or like I say, the future productivity of Canadians. I mean, to do all that, once again, it's pure stimulation. It's pulling forward, once again, just like debts and deficits, future productivity or future labor. And a lot of people that are investing in these things are buying them. That's the thing. Why would you buy a government bond knowing how they come to exist today? Right? I mean, if you were foolish enough that, especially maybe some of the boomers back in the day that didn't understand how all this stuff works out, okay, whatever, I can understand. Oh, I want to get a rate of return, and government bonds are more secure. And actually, back in the day, you might actually got a return because, let's say you get 2, 3, 4% on your bond. You might have actually seen it was ahead of inflation. But now, at what you're getting in terms of these bonds, which is why the average investor or typical Canadian aren't buying them. So the reason why the typical Canadian or investors aren't buying them, because they're wise enough to realize it's a scheme, it's a Ponzi scheme, it's a waste of money. It's actually, might as well burn a portion of your money to invest in bonds because the inflation rate is much higher than any rate of return you're ever going to see. So who's buying it all? Central bank. So when the market, free people like we individuals aren't buying it up, or even investors, private investors aren't buying government debt because it's like, nah, I don't want to touch that stuff with a 10-foot pole, right? Because they're wise enough, prudent enough to do so and to avoid that stuff. That's the market sending a signal, sending a message, right? But hey, central bankers step in. Hey, even though no one wants to buy these bonds because they recognize something, or we'll step in and create this false stimulus effect. And the bonds are still being bought up, right? Yeah, but by who? Central bankers? It's just shifting the shit back and forth from one central planner to the other. That's not proper economics. That's not how you grow an economy. That's not how economic activity is supposed to work, right? I mean, like, that is a huge amount of number. But as I said, they're not just talking about, that, like I say, that was an article back a little while ago, like I say. Well, I guess not even quite a week ago. But then you got the one here from the Financial Post. I guess I won't even share that one per se, but it's another one. This is out of the Financial Post. The Bank of Canada's $3 billion a week bond habit. Probably wouldn't be the worst idea to read that. So actually, let me click on it, and I'll make sure to post that in the link of this live stream so that you can check that out. And then what else do we get going on here? Actually, let me just see how everyone's doing in the chat here. Let me see what's going on in the chat. Just found out this morning my wife's coworker had a stroke and is paralyzed the day after the jab. Wow. That's bad news for sure, David. And paralyzed. Wow, that's too bad. That is actually horrendous. And I feel bad for that individual. Sorry to hear that. I don't know what else to say, but that's bad news, obviously. Yes, the border is a mess, and so is this administration. Yeah, no doubt. Let's see what else we got here. I guess it's just looks like it's just Dave and Stuart here today. So I don't know. Maybe there must be more important people streaming, or everyone's busy for some reason. I don't know, but still going to do what I got to do. Still got to get lots of stuff out there. Oh, by the way, let me just point out or mention this too. Rumble is starting to live stream. I was actually getting ready. I actually uploaded one of my live streams to Rumble, so definitely check out my my Rumble channel, Canadian Libertarian, over there, and my latest video that I just uploaded yesterday. It was actually a live stream that I'd done on YouTube, but I wanted to make sure I had it backed up on Rumble. So if you want to check that out, but I also noticed that Rumble now offers live streaming. Now you can only do that through the team setting, and I think the lowest one is $100 a month. That's way out of my price range, unfortunately. But they are saying they're going to slowly and gradually roll out so you can have live streaming even at a much lower price point or cost. So once that comes to fruition, then I'm definitely going to get on. Rumble is BitChute. I've always, as I mentioned you before, I have hundreds of videos uploaded on BitChute, and I'm not going to eliminate that channel or nothing. It's going to be up there, and maybe at some point in time I'll continue to upload. But BitChute, I've had nothing but aggravation and headache basically since the get-go. For some damn reason, I have a difficult time trying to upload my videos to BitChute. So I've been looking for alternatives, and Rumble seems to be that great alternative. And the fact that now they're going to be offering live streaming services, and you got multiple tiers now, right, where you can pay to play kind of thing. I'm all for it. So Rumble is going to be my backup from now on. And the minute, like I say, the minute I get the opportunity to start live, I say $100 a month, a little too rich for my blood. Hey, what's going on, Anarcha? Hey, Anarcha Rika, how you doing? Hey, Ben White, what's going on? Hey, my friend, what's going on? How you doing, Ben White? How you doing? Nice to see Anarcha Rika. Nice to see Rika and Ben in the chat. Thanks for joining the stream. What else we got here? Should I bring this one up? I did a real quick video here. Well, it might not be as quick. I should say quick for me of this, but in the stream as well for you folks. And like I say, if you want to, I always say you have my full permission. If you want to download this stream, use a portion of it and upload it to even your own videos or I mean, social media platforms or something, just to get this information out there. But this is pretty wild, folks. So hold on, let me show you this real quick. As we know, lockdowns have not just been a massive imposition to Canadians or anyone around the world that's have had them imposed on them, but these constant restrictions in terms of being able to go out and enjoy, especially now that the warmer weather's coming, right? It's fucking highly annoying. It makes me irate. The fact these hacks keep telling you anyone that tries to do something outdoor, like in Ontario, like we've heard about Doug Ford and his goddamn the most authoritarian edicts in all of North America, where you're not even allowed to go out and play outdoor sports or activities. It's one thing to screw with people indoors, right? And I mean, I'm saying I'm against all these mandates and these edicts, indoor or outdoor. But to be doing this towards people for outdoor and still claiming that you're going by science or that you're being objective in any way or following the experts. What's the thing? Who are these experts, or what science are these people? Is it Scientology or is it genuinely science? Because once again, you're hearing massive discrepancies and complete opposing and on who you listen to. And it's the overwhelming majority of the people who are contributors to the CBC have been using the fear campaign, the fear narrative, right? That kind of rhetoric that gets everyone to become good little conformists and do whatever their political or thought leaders have been telling them to do, right? And based on like the fear narrative, and we recognize whether you're talking about CTV, CBC, Globe and Mail. I mean, all the establishment players, right? And pretty much everyone who comprises these establishment players have been parroting the same tune time and time and time again is, ooh, you got to follow the experts' advice. You got to do everything the experts tell you to do because, ooh, scary COVID and, ooh, you could die and, or you might kill grandma and all this stuff. So fear, 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 fear. And of course, we all recognize that fear is how you control people. But even in CBC, well, that's the thing. While the overwhelming majority of them put forth the narrative that, ooh, we need more harsher restrictions, impositions on our freedoms and liberties. And, you know, you're not allowed to go outside. Don't go do this. Don't go do that. Well, you have someone actually that's contributing to CBC radio. This is the part that's crazy. Let me show you here. I'll bring this up while I'm talking about it here. Just one sec. That's the last one here. So, like I say, while most of the hacks at the CBC are busy putting forth, pumping out that fear narrative, it's like the right hand don't even understand what the left hand is, or should I say the left hand doesn't know what the far left hand is doing in the CBC, right? I don't know. But like I say, nothing like getting completely conflicted and contrary news and information, right? So, like I say, while some of the hacks at the CBC are busy pumping up that fear narrative. And, you know, I mean, we've seen the countless examples of people being ticketed or fined for doing nothing more than walking their dog or going out to the park or, right, protesting, right? Which is, I mean, protesting, fined for protesting against government. I mean, I don't know, like that I don't know how much more authoritarian you can get than fining people for protesting authoritarian mandates and edicts handed down by government. I mean, if you're being ticketed and punished for protesting against the government, I mean, like I say, just at the very least, just stop pretending that you live in a free country. At the very least. But like I say, even some of these, well, what I'm thinking, just like when I was covering this for the video I was doing, this particular article, it's like, I can't help but think that there are some people in there, it's like, yeah, they were willing to go along with the narrative for a while. But now that all the evidence has come in and they realize that, yeah, the ruling establishment haven't done the narrative, or be shown at some point in time in the future that I went along with this shit. So, like I say, maybe this particular individual, and I can't help but point out that, yeah, it's an individual, right? It's not a group, it's an individual that decided he was going to go against the grain and speak against the typical narrative. And I'm very glad he did so, because this kind, like I say, this kind of information that's contained within this article and the audio portion of this CBC radio program, if you help share this, if you're in Canada and you want, you know, whether it's your parents, someone in your family, your friends, co-workers, neighbors, anyone that you associate with, to learn some stuff and have their sensibilities completely destroyed, or at least shock their, they realize that, well, wait a minute, that's not what I've been told. I've been listening to the CBC and CTV all this time for over a year now, and they've been telling me that no, outdoor transmission, like, yeah, you got to be careful out there, you know, right? But the truth is finally coming to light. Like I say, it's overwhelmed, mostly overlooked and ignored, and doesn't even compare. It pales in comparison to, like I say, the overwhelming majority of those who represent the establishment or the media that have been paired in opposing narrative, like the fear-driven narrative. But here it is, folks. Like I say, I'll read a little bit from the article just to kind of set it up here. So this was from White Coat Black Art. Like I say, it's CBC radio program. Evidence suggests outdoor COVID-19 transmission is low. Here's what you need to know. Should you wear a mask outdoors? Experts weigh in. Now, you know, typically what you'd be hearing is, oh yeah, you got to do it. Oh, it's not just to save you, to protect you, but to protect the greater good, right? That's a typical narrative that you would be getting from most of the hacks or contributors to the CBC. But in this example, you're going to be pleased and surprised. I know I was. And like I say, because Canadians typically trust the CBC, right, have a lot of blind faith in their thought leaders at the CBC, This is a perfect source to use to properly educate and inform your fellow Canadians because you're using a source that they trust, right? Which is what I always try to do to help, explain things to people. It's like people say, why do you use CBC? I have this person that comes on my Next Gen News and Views page and constantly insulting and deride me for using CBC as a source, saying, like, don't you know that they're liars? Like, yes, I know the CBC's liars. That's why I share this stuff, is to point out where they're lying, plus to keep a record of their lies. And in addition to that, CBC is Canada's public broadcaster, so I can use it as a source because I'm forced to pay for it without having to worry about copyright strikes or claims. So it's like, and just like I said to this person who was complaining on my page, like, listen, just because you don't understand the reasoning behind what I do, don't automatically, arbitrarily create something in your own mind to suggest that what? Like, well, I don't know what this person was suggesting. Oh, I'm just a blind, loyal person to the sea. If you watch my videos, you would know real quick. If you watch my videos in your live stream, you realize that I use these sources to debunk the information. Or to prove, like I say, that they're lying or they're misrepresenting facts or the truth. That's why I do it, right? Anyways, let me just read a little bit here, like I say. And the messaging around being outside needs to change because the risk of outdoor transmission is real, and the health benefits of being outdoors are immense, said Dr. Suman Chakrabarti, an infectious disease physician at Mississauga Hospital. Chakrabarti, who works in a COVID-19 hotspot, sees many patients with COVID, and they're not getting sick outside, he said. In the third wave, it is abundantly clear that people who are getting infected and sick enough to come in are those with heavy, prolonged indoor exposure, he told White Coat, Black Art, and the Dose host, Dr. Brian Goldman. It's almost exclusively from high-density work settings or the family members thereof, or high-density living settings such as shelters, or work settings or shelter. You know what else would perfectly fit in both of those? Long-term care facilities, where what? Between 75 to potentially up to 80 to 85% of all deaths have come as a consequence or result of these long-term care facilities, of locking all these people down or up in these facilities, right? This person is suggesting that it's all coming from prolonged exposure in indoor settings. And what has the government been doing basically since the very beginning, when they turn towards authoritarianism, is telling people to lock themselves up indoors, right? Seems like government and the so-called health experts who have been advocating for people being locked up indoors are the ones who are causing the most or the bulk of the spread. I mean, based on what this infectious disease specialist, Dr. Simon Chakrabarti, based on what he's saying and the evidence that he's providing, seems like government is at fault for this prolonged, protracted lockdowns that now into what? Like I say, third wave, well over a year now of people as having their lives, their livelihoods, and their careers completely destroyed or turned upside down. People not being able to get an education. Well, that's kind of open to interpretation, education or indoctrination. Or businesses entirely shut down and shuttered, right? I mean, a lot of harm, a lot of social and economic harm has been taking place over the course of an entire year of on again, off again lockdowns, right? This constant, and that's why there's waves. Lockdown, open it up. Lockdown, open up. You probably see the waves. Well, look at the correlation with the waves. Looks about the same time they locked up or opened up, right? Anyways, I digress. Let me read just a little bit more here. This is part of the reason why I'm such a proponent of trying to mitigate risk and move things outdoors, he said. Last week, Ontario banned many outdoor sports and activities, including soccer, tennis, basketball, golf, and pickleball. Outdoor gatherings are also banned except for members in the same household or one other person from outside that household who lives alone. Some public health experts have raised questions about the restrictions. So, like I say, some public health experts are getting a little concerned. Maybe got a little guilty conscience and are finally starting to speak out. But anyways, in addition, let me just give you a little bit of the audio. Because listen to this, folks. And like I say, listen attentively to what this infectious disease specialist this Dr. Simon Chakrabarty says, as it pertains to outdoor transmission, and with all of the studies that have been done. This is the thing, really important. So listen up, folks.
But yeah, like I said, the outdoor aspect of this is much, much less risky.
So we're getting a bit ahead of ourselves. What do the studies say is the percentage of COVID cases that are transmitted outdoors?
Well, listen, what we have right now is very small. So if you look at the clusters of studies, you'll see that the majority of the studies, I'm talking above 97% of them, are demonstrating no outdoor transmission. But if you're looking at, there's one study that came out of Ireland. This was a bit earlier when there wasn't as much variant around, but we're talking something as low as 0.11% of transmission was occurring in the chance of transmission in the outdoor setting. So again, it's really, really small. Admittedly, it's not zero, but nothing in life is risk-free.
So you heard it, folks. 97% of all the studies that are out there as it pertains to outdoor transmission of COVID-19, 97% of them say there is no outdoor transmission. Now, there was one study that he suggested or alluded to that actually, and he mentioned that it happened earlier on in the outbreak, where there was a 0.11% outdoor transmission rate, which is 0.1. Think about it. 0.1 is, what's the opposite of 99? Or what? How do you get to 100%? If 0.1% is outdoor transmission on that one study, whereas, like I say, the 97% of the other studies said there is no transmission, but there is that one study. So gotta be careful here, so the fact checkers don't try to fuck me up here, because that's what they'll try to do if I misrepresent even the slice here. So I'm trying to be perfect in my language here, right? So 97% of the studies said or suggested there is no outdoor transmission, whereas that one study that he mentioned suggested that there's a 0.1% chance of outdoor transmission, but that means that 99.9%, right? If it's not outdoor, well, if it's not happening outdoor, where could that other 99.9% be coming from? Well, it must be indoor, right? If it's not outdoor, it's gotta be indoor, right? Right? There's no middle space that we're where you're kind of indoor but outdoor. I haven't seen anything there. So if it's not outdoor, you have to assume that they're talking about indoor. And where have they been forcing everyone to do based on these lockdowns is to congregate indoors. And no, it's never been that we all have to be 100% isolated and alone from each other. It's like family settings or other stuff. So indoor, where the potential for spread is much higher, they want you indoor. And it's not like everyone's locked in their house, so you can still go to work. You can still do this, especially if you're an essential service, right? So go get the virus and go home and make sure you're locked up with your family. That's the message that the government, for the most part, has been sending, which, you can't help but it kind of explains why a lot of households, and that we're seeing today, where a lot of households are seeing increased rates of infection. Gee, I wonder why that could be. You're telling everyone to be indoors with each other, cooped up indoors with each other, not allowed to go out and do anything, not allowed to go outside, get some sunlight or some vitamin D, or where you can actually genuinely social distance, or get some good proper ventilation, right? No, indoor is where they've been telling you to go. So once again, seems very much to me, it'd be a real easy at this point in time, even for a lackluster lawyer, to make the case that government and these arbitrary authoritarian mandates and needs are what's actually caused the prolonged, protracted, first wave, second wave, third wave, and the fact that we're still, as Canadians, over a year later, stuck without having any semblance or even any potential hope for gaining these freedoms back anytime in the future. Because we're seeing, maybe the US, right? Maybe the UK, there are some countries who are trying to open up and gain their freedoms, or at least some jurisdictions within those countries. But in Canada, completely regressive, completely going in the exact opposite direction, where it's getting worse. The impositions, the mandates, the restrictions, the destruction of the economy, right? Case counts, apparently. They're saying ICUs and deaths, like all the the story, the narrative, the message that we're all getting, right, from our thought leaders and all these experts is things are actually getting worse in Canada. Well, wouldn't that suggest that somebody or those who are in charge of things have been doing things massively wrong? Not just a little bit wrong, but really, really wrong. So they are personally culpable and responsible, as far as I'm concerned, for this mess and for the death, devastation, and pain that they've caused to countless Canadians. Make no mistake about it. And like I say, share this information. If you want Canadians, especially if you got friends, family members, people in your community, co-workers, neighbors who are falling for or aligning with big government and aligning with the fear campaign or those narratives, share this video, share this information, share this article, right? Even if you don't share my video, you don't, oh, I don't need them to listen to Ben or whatever, like whatever. If you don't like me as a person, just click on the video afterwards, right? Or get them to click on the video, or you click on the video, get the article, and just share the article to them. To me, I don't care how a person learns. I just hope that they learn. Because once again, in a democracy in Canada, because I'm subject to the majority, I need the majority to start thinking critically and being willing to respect my sovereignty and my freedoms. Right? That's what it is to live in a democracy. Is you have to rely on everyone else. Right? That's a big problem. Because even though I am fully aware and capable of taking care of myself and those I love, I'm forced into these impositions because the rest of my Canadian counterparts aren't properly informed or educated and are willing to go along with the fear campaign espoused by their thought leaders or the politicians who are paired in these narratives as well. So bad news. But like I say, I definitely wanted to make sure I got this information out there. 97% of the studies said no transmission outdoors. One study that he mentioned out of Ireland showed a 0.11% spread in outdoor settings, right? And once again, that happened real early on, so there could be discrepancies there that might need to be retweaked at some point in time. So think about that, what it says, right? 11th wave. Yeah, I will not wear a mask outside now. Yeah, no way. Especially in that kind of heat, that would be rough. That would definitely be rough. Anyway, so I'm going to read. Just get this. Seems like it's a pretty quiet day here. Oh, by the way, did any of you folks get a chance to check out my live stream debate with Warren Mosler? Although I didn't get, like I say, we'll have a conversation again. But I definitely didn't get to cover as much as I would like to. I had lots more questions. Anyways, like I said, I'm going to scroll through a little bit more here. Oh, here's a little bit more truth coming late. So once again, who's at fault here? Well, the truth has to come out eventually, folks. It just has to. This is out of CBC News Investigates, Toronto. Ontario largely ignored long-term care as COVID-19 crisis began, internal documents reveal. This is reported by Mike Crawley, April 28, 2021. Internal government documents obtained by CBC News show few signs that Ontario prepared the long-term care sector for the risk from COVID-19 before the virus began its deadly spread through the province's nursing homes. CBC News asked the Ministry of Health and Ministry of Long-Term Care for all reports, memos, and briefing notes concerning the novel coronavirus, COVID-19, and long-term care homes. Oh, shoot, I got to turn this around. In February, March, and April of 2020. Even as cases were steadily arriving in Ontario and the devastation from the infections in Italy became apparent. Taken as a whole, the document adds to the evidence suggesting the provincial government devoted far less attention to readying the long-term care sector for the impact of the coronavirus than hospitals. Even after the March 11th declaration of a global pandemic, various measures to reduce the spread of COVID-19 in long-term care homes were either not put on the table as options or not actually put into practice for weeks, according to the documents. Complete. Like I say, folks, and I do expect lawsuits to take place as a consequence of this. Develop clear public health guidance to protect individuals in long-term care facilities as well as staff is listed as an outstanding action in a March 29th document from Ontario's COVID-19 command table titled Priority Issues. Now, I've got the evidence. It's all right there. I'm not right by any stretch of the imagination, but I was one of those people saying very early on when this outbreak first started, and like I say, all the evidence is back in my prior live streams and videos saying yes, because I had, well, both my grandmothers are in long-term care facilities. One has since passed, one is still with us. But yeah, it was the first thought on my mind. It's like, well, if you're having some kind of infectious disease, right? We all know that the aged, the elderly are the vulnerable among us for anything. Slips, falls, breaking bones, right? Viruses, diseases. Just, they're vulnerable, right? And I knew earlier on, it's like, well, if you're going to have something where you need to protect the vulnerable, well, those long-term care facilities, that should be a priority. And I said that earlier on, and I'm not from the healthcare field at all. So if I could figure that stuff out, I mean, come on. If I could figure it out, surely these experts and these professionals could have done so. And some of them did, but big government and those in charge, those who are in control of all these situations or these institutions, obviously they failed miserably, whether it was done on purpose, whether there was any malice, right? I don't know. Wouldn't suggest as such, or just incompetence. I don't know what in particular to attribute in terms of blame, but there's definitely blame to be attributed and to be spread around. And it seems to be mostly, or should be mostly, focused on those who are making these decisions at the time. Right? I would say. Anyways, so yeah, I'll just tie this up, or not the stream per se, but yeah, I'll just finish up with that one. Let's see what else do we got here. Let's see who else we got here. Yeah. Oh, and now, as you're probably recognizing, that the rhetoric is directed towards younger Canadians. It's funny, huh? Younger Canadians went through the first wave, the second wave, and you didn't hear nothing. Basically, mom was the word. And it all bared out by the facts, the statistics, and the numbers. Like, the younger Canadians weren't having no issues or minimal issues in terms of suffering or having any severe outcomes or consequences from contracting COVID-19. But it's weird, huh? All of a sudden now, in the third wave, you're getting multiple articles such as this one here out of CBC News. Let me share that with you real quick here. There's a bunch of them, so I'll just use this one as an example. But look at this. Look at this. Wild, huh? For the first two waves, younger people, I don't know how they did it. Magic. It's magic, folks. It's just magic. It's just magic. That's all. Nothing to see here. Look away. Calgary, Albertans 50s are ending up in ICU with COVID-19 faster than ever before. Intensive care and concerns over variants and long-term health effects. This was reported by Robert Fletcher, April 27, 2021. More Albertans in their 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s are ending up in ICU with COVID-19 than ever before, according to a breakdown of data published by Alberta Health. This comes as case rates have soared among these age groups, most of whom have not yet been vaccinated. Oh, but nobody was vaccinated earlier on either. So why is it changing now? Like I say, this is all fucking, it's all a narrative, folks. It's all a narrative. I mean, to think or to suggest young people fared well through the first wave, the second wave, but damn, it's that third wave, right? Oh, it's now, I guess that third wave, it's just hyper focused, right? On targeting young Canadians in particular. COVID, it knows curfews, it knows when to do it, it knows geographic locations, right? Geolocation data, when to target people, who to, and what age ranges to target at specific time frames. Wow, this is an amazing virus. Fuck, this virus is more intelligent than most human beings I know, right? I mean, come on. You really fall for this stuff? I don't, not at all. Which is why I get more and more disturbed every day to think that this is the kind of rhetoric are they really willing to go with this? Seriously, this is the stuff they're trying to put forth? Here's another one. Let me bring this one up. Like I say, I'll share all these in the link of the stream, of course. Here you go. Here's another one. Montreal, in a Montreal ICU, healthcare workers strain to treat younger patients and COVID-19 deniers. So it's not just younger patients, but it's apparently COVID-19 deniers. So COVID-19 is not just targeting younger patients now, but in particular, the ones that are deniers. Okay, you say so. Jewish General Hospital, ICU, has treated nearly 300 COVID-19 patients in pandemic. This one was reported by Allison Northcott, April 27th, 2021. Seen a pattern here? Yeah. It's still hard for Renton Saidi to breathe or talk. His words are slow and deliberate. He has to catch his breath between sentences. The first day I arrived here, I was in the midst of dying. The 46-year-old said when sitting in a chair in his room in an intensive care unit in Montreal's Jewish General Hospital. He's behind a sliding glass door in a negative pressure room with an oxygen tube running through his nose. That Saridi has been in the hospital since April 13th. He said he thinks he caught the virus from his son, a university student studying online at home. He's studying online at home? What? Wait a minute. That's he caught the virus from his son, a university student studying online at home. What? That seems weird. But anyways, the whole family was infected. In recent days, Saidi's condition has improved. He's praised the hospital staff who have helped him. They've been so kind. It's like this is this advertising? This like propaganda and advertising sounds so different in nature than actual reporting that it's not hard to discern the difference, right? This sounds more like advertising and propaganda, which once again, across Quebec, the number of COVID-19 cases and hospitalizations appear to have stabilized, although challenges remain. Hospitals are treating younger patients, often for longer periods. So once again, another message, where it's younger people. COVID's attacking younger people now, folks. They're going after the young people now. Okay. Let's see what else. Oh, here, let me get this other one. Here. Yeah, here's another one. Look at this. And it's the sneaky, underhanded way that they do this, right? It's the way they word it even, like so underhanded. Here we go. Check this one out. Now, this one, subtle, but the headline is actually would be considered correct, right? So that they're not going to get in trouble as lying. But it's definitely even though it's not outright blatant lying. So here it is. This is a Toronto, Brampton, Ontario teen among youngest Canadians to die with COVID-19. Notice how it says with COVID-19 instead of by or from COVID-19? Probably been a few hands slapped, a few wrists slapped as for some of these establishment hacks who've been putting forth this notion in other publications or in past articles suggesting that these people are dying from COVID-19. When in reality, COVID, they might have contracted COVID-19. I said this in the past too. You could literally have had a heart attack or a stroke, but if you have COVID-19, they're going to try to attribute your death to that. It's like, well, no, but the stroke probably might have something to do with it. No, or some other comorbidities or underlying health conditions, right? Anyways, let me just read a little bit here so that you get the actual full clarity. As a parent, I am lost for words, Brampton's mayor says as Ontario's coroner investigates. This was posted April 26th, 2021. And once again, of course, I shouldn't have to say this, but of course you feel bad for anyone who's succumbed or passes away, regardless of the circumstances or the reason, especially if they're a decent person, right? So yeah, well, of course, heartfelt, sympathies for this poor young girl's family and stuff, all right? But come on, can we just, like I say, stop taking advantage of people, stop using people's, emotional sensibilities or their compassion for other people. Stop pulling at people's heartstrings for fucking political rhetoric, you bunch of sociopaths. Virus amid the province's devastating third wave. Emily Victoria Vegas, 13, died on April 22nd, according to an online fundraiser launched in her memory that's already raised more than $41,000 for a grieving family. Family friend Adrian Goddard, who organized the fundraiser, told CBC News that Vegas had contracted COVID-19 as well as pneumonia. That Vegas had contract as well as pneumonia. Her mother is currently in intensive care with COVID-19, Goddard said, while her younger brother is also infected and in isolation, but doing okay. Dr. Dirk Hoyer, Ontario's chief coroner, confirmed Monday that the province is investigating the teen's death. What a tragedy, he said. My heart goes out to the family and all those who knew her. And we're really trying to understand the circumstances more clearly. Speaking with CBC's radio's Metro Morning, Hoyer said it's one of the coronavirus variants of concern, which has been found to be more transmissible and more likely to cause serious illness and death. Variants of concern now account for a considerable majority of infections driving the third wave of the pandemic. Many emergency physicians and critical care nurses have said that anecdotally, the demographics of patients sick with COVID-19 being admitted to ICUs has skewed younger during the third wave. Dr. Callie Barrett, a critical care physician at University Health Network in Toronto, told CBC News last week that ICUs are increasingly filled with essential workers and their family members. Anyways, even so, severe illness and death from COVID-19 among the youngest Canadians have been exceedingly rare, according to national statistics. Of the 208,195 people aged 19 younger who have been infected, 955 were admitted to hospital. Of those, 142 needed intensive care. 8 Canadians 19 and under have died with the disease, including 3 in Ontario, have died with the disease. So once again, you see what the media is doing? Well, I mean, that's the thing. We all see more and more Canadians would come to realize is how the media is completely misrepresenting the facts. This stuff really, really grinds my gears, folks, because if they would just be honest, if at bare minimum, if the news organizations, right, if they would just report the facts and keep their fucking rhetoric and their opinions out of it, right, and their ideologies and their political preferences, if they would just keep all that shit at bay, we would all Canadians would be in a much better position today, not just in terms of our freedoms, but understanding coronavirus, COVID-19, and its implications and who it directly threats and who needs to really fear. It would be much simpler, and we'd be living in a much different state of mind and state of affairs right now if it wasn't for the fact that, like I say, the hacks and the established media, they seem to revel in pumping out that fear campaign or that narrative. And I get that it gets some clicks on their publications. I get that. But I don't know how they don't realize that they're destroying their credibility hand over fist. For what? For clicks? For what? Do you get a bigger paycheck? Do you get paid by the clicks in the CBC? Like, I don't understand, right? Why are you folks in there willing to go along? Truth is even happen, folks. But yeah, the message that I keep seeing time and time again is it's COVID is going after young people now. Why? It completely avoided and ignored young people for the first and second wave, but now it's targeting, like I say, the younger people. Oh, and what was that one? There was another article I see in CBC where it's like they're going after Gen Xers even. It's like, why are you? And the fact that Gen X is even brought up within an article is like, wait a minute. You guys never talk about Gen Xers, right? Damn. Let me see if I can find that. I don't think I had that one opened on here. I think I had that open on my laptop earlier. One sec here, folks. Let me see if I can find that. Um, yeah, I'm not seeing it right here. Vaccine envy. Nope. It's weird. I'm not. I wonder. Is it in here in the latest? No. No. Okay. Oh, and there's this too. Let me bring this up. Yeah, I better bring this up here actually, because this is important too. Hey, Tax Slave, what's going on? Cheers, bro. Thank you very kindly, Tax Slave, for the donation. I really appreciate that, my friend. Hopefully, you're doing well today and all days for that matter. Thank you very kindly. Like I say, so let me. Where did we go? Where did I go here? Military. There we go. Military. So yeah, share. You're probably familiar with this as well. Military sending medical teams to pandemic stressed Ontario hospitals. Air Force is also flying in volunteer medical staff from other provinces. It's reported by Murray Brewster, April 26, 2021. The Canadian Armed Forces will deploy up to 3 medical assistance teams to help support critical care healthcare facilities in Ontario, now straining under the weight of a surge in COVID-19 caseload, the Liberal government announced today. Starting tomorrow, the Air Force will also begin flying in extra medical staff offered to Ontario by other provinces to help ease the crisis, the Public Safety Department said in a statement. A relief flight with medical personnel from Newfoundland will arrive Tuesday. Since the beginning of the pandemic, in our most difficult moments, Canadians have relied on the Canadian Armed Forces for help. Defense Minister Harjit Sajjan said in a statement, no matter the challenge, our people in uniforms are ready to help. The Canadian Armed Forces will be there for Ontarians in their time to. It's a military, right? It's the military, folks. But anyways, like I say, just bringing this up because you folks realize that, yeah, the military being called in at a specific time, yeah, that was we were made privy or privy to the knowledge, right, on information that suggested that this may very well happen, and by golly, it is, right, again, for some reason. So there's that. Let's see what else we got here. Yeah, so this was another one covering that. So Ontario's made a formal request to the Canadian Armed Forces to help deal with the surge in critical care cases associated with the COVID-19 third wave, just days after it rebuffed an offer from the federal government. Okay. trying to find that Gen X article, like I say there. It was pretty. I found that quite striking. The fact that they were referencing an entire generation. See if I can't find it here, folks. If not, like I say, I'm going to probably tie this stream up here shortly. Was it this one? Let me check this one out here real quick. Oh, actually, I didn't want to cover this regardless. So yeah, because this was another thing. Like I say, I love pointing out when the media misrepresents facts so that Canadians can realize just how much they do this, how regularly they do it. Okay, here we go. This one, CBC News out of politics. While the US and EU talk COVID passports, Canada says it still has concerns about virus spread. PHAC, the Public Health Agency of Canada, says it still has concerns about asymptomatic carriers. It's reported by Peter Zimonjic, or whatever, April 26, 2021. As the European Union and the United States begin to discuss a return to non-essential international travel, the federal government is expressing caution and insisting its science and key are being considered around the world as we look towards reopening our economies and our borders, said a spokesperson for Health Minister Patty Adju's office. Our focus is making sure Canadians are safe and healthy and respond to science and evidence. So the U.S. are talking about, passports, right? In terms of these vaccination passports, these vaccine passports, in terms of, getting people to be able to move more freely and travel more freely, right? But the way the media, the CBC article, the way they're covering this is to suggest that Canada, like that's what I would take from it. If I was reading this and I didn't have the kind of knowledge I had in my head, I'd be like, oh, it sounds like Canada is not going to go with the vaccine passports per se, nilly-willy. They're waiting to see, right, if there's actual evidence and if it's science-based. If you're going to head in that general direction, right? But obviously that's not the case. I mean, the real reason, as we know, is Canada has been a laggard. It's way, 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 way behind. Not just the top 20, like the G20 nations, right? The most developed countries on the planet, but even some of the lesser developed or developing countries. Canada has fallen behind many of those, even in terms of the rollout. The Trudeau regime, or known in Canada, is anywhere near close to the point about talking about vaccine passports, right? Not because they're not in favor of them, but because they're not even close to being in that position, right? You're not going to be talking about COVID-19 passports when only a few percent or a very small percentage of your population has actually been vaccinated. Pete Trudeau and the Trudeau regime and the federal government as if we're just going to rely on science. But meanwhile, let me just show you. Doesn't take much. Although, like I say, I'm one of those very few Canadians that will actually read an entire article, right? And because I did, well, there's this that I noticed. Look at that. Very last paragraph. Look at that. Very last paragraph. Whoops. Very last paragraph right there, folks. Right there. Look. Last month, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau suggested a vaccine passport program could be implemented for international travel. It's something that countries are actively exploring, and we're amongst those countries, Trudeau said. So it's right there. It's literally right there that Trudeau himself has said, Canada's, we're going to be getting on board with that stuff. We're in discussions to talk about that stuff. And we're part of it. But, the way the media has tried to set up this story, the narrative is like, no, we're going to wait for science and evidence, right? No, But once again, how many fucking people read these CBC articles that go all the way down and read the last paragraph? I bet you're not 1 in fucking 10. Or I don't know. I'm just guessing there. But I mean, come on. Not as many people, obviously. I mean, just listen to people. You can tell that they're they just basically when you talk to people, you're like, oh, you just read the headline, didn't you? Or what someone said on that CBC News or CTV News, the 24-hour right propaganda network. You just listen to that bullshit rhetoric, right? Someone's fucking subjective opinion. You didn't listen to anything that's based or grounded on reality or objective facts. Quit your fooling. Quit your bullshitting, right? Anyways, folks, I'm going to tie this stream up. I know it's only been an hour and 5 minutes or so, but to be honest with you, it seems like it's been quite a bit longer stream. Maybe it's because it's been quite quiet in the chat there. And actually, not many people have joined the stream. I think, well, I see 6. It's a pretty quiet day. So I'm going to tie this up. Like I said, I think I covered a fair amount of stuff. I do have lots of stuff in my own personal life that I can do rather than, trying to worry about educating and informing Canadians that don't want to be educated and informed, I guess. Sometimes I actually do wonder why I even put in the effort. But then I remember it's for you folks. Although that's the thing. It's like, how much longer do I really need to keep doing this? If I'm only appealing to or being heard by people who are already up to speed and up to date on a lot of this stuff, right? I'm really feeling a sense of diminishing returns as of late. And once again, nothing against you folks. I love all you folks. I love all the support. I love the fact that we're all here supporting each other and in the know, knowledge about these subjects. I just can't help but think that, damn, we've got another 37 point whatever million Canadians that are not anywhere near that position. And I don't seem to be able to break out of the mold or seem to be able to be effective in any way anymore. And I think it's actually only going to continue to get worse, especially knowing now that the Trudeau regime and that Jill Bolt, right, are busy making sure that those of us who do challenge the status quo, the ruling establishment, are not going to have our voice, out there on these dominant platforms for much longer. The writing is already on the wall. And I can see how it's being quite effective, right? The reason why the established media gets to dominate the stories, the narratives, and jam all that propaganda into the minds of Canadians is because fewer and fewer Canadians are being privy to information, videos, or knowledge that people like myself bring to the table. And I don't see that getting any better anytime soon. Matter of fact, I expect it's only going to get worse. So, like I say, I repeat myself. Look for us out there on some of those alternative social media platforms because the day is going to come, and I expect it will come even for me at some point in time where I'm no longer going to have the option to put my voice out there. Although I know you folks will follow me over on some of these other alternative platforms, and some of you already have, and really appreciative of that. So like I say, maybe we just kind of fall by the wayside or like a whimper in the middle of the night where nobody even notices, right? Because that's the thing. I mean, considering most Canadians don't even really acknowledge or recognize that I exist as a human being, once the Trudeau Liberals cancel me entirely, it's like, well, okay, it might be a big deal for me, it might be a big deal for a very small minority or tiny minority of people in Canada, but it's not even going to be, it's going to be a big old nothing burger for the 37 plus million Canadians who don't even know I exist, right? So I don't know, but it is what it is. Not much I can do about it. I try my best, but like I say, my best obviously isn't good enough. Anyways, you folks have yourself a great day. I'll be looking to do another live stream. Oh, actually, I will be doing a live stream on the weekend. I'm just getting ready to set that up with a gentleman. And I might actually have 2, but I'll give you lots of an update before I do that, and give you a link so you can follow that link and follow me or click on that live stream when I do it on the weekend. But other than that, like I say, today is a fine, beautiful day. It is on the East Coast, and if it is in the rest of Canada, like I say, get out there and enjoy yourself. Have some fun in the sun, and keep your head up, even though there's not Sometimes in days like today, it doesn't seem like there's much reason for it, but you always got to find that reason, right? Even if it's like looking for the proverbial needle in the haystack to keep your own psychology and mentality healthy and on the up and up. You gotta do what you do. You gotta do what you can to keep positive mind, body, and spirit. So, like I say, enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy the rest of the week. I'll see you in the next live stream or the next video. Canadian Libertarian. I love liberty.